like the Chuckle Brothers because I think there aren't that many people doing what they do anymore. It's real end-of-the-pier, completely innocuous, fun, innocent stuff, and so much these days has to have an edge or has to be ticking some sort of box, and this is just a laugh.
How do I get back down?
No, it's no good. I can't hear a thing you're saying.
I said, how do I get back down?
I just think the way they look is a little bit... It's not your standard kids' telly fodder, because in theory you should have young, smiley, bright people, and these two look like people that have been on remand in 1989 or something with their weird hair and dodgy tashes, and they've never aged as well. That's because they never look young. They've always looked that old. They turn up, whether they are carpet fitters or pizza delivery boys, it's going to go wrong, and they end up invariably covered in something or nude. They went caravanning together, and the caravan was just like a sort of seesaw effect. And the thing about quite a lot of their stuff is it runs for longer than you think it should, the gag. But you end up with, oh yeah, and oh yeah, oh no, he's still going to do it. And it's sort of that, they just sort of really drag out the visual gags. The catchphrases are, oh dear, oh dear.
Oh dear.
And B is, to me, to you. To me, to you.
To you.
No, 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 to you.
No, to you.
To me, to you? What do you think you're doing?
Which then, amazingly, and I don't know whether this has ever happened before, where a catchphrase gets turned into a game show. It gets shoehorned into becoming an entire 25-minute game show.
Welcome back to Chuckle Island, and another game of To Me, to You.
I think if two mullety pensioners turned up now with, well, we're going to pedal a car like the Flintstones, and he's going to fall over, and I'm going to have all these wacky plans, I don't think that would get commissioned at all. And I think it'll be a sad day when they are off our screens. It'll be sort of, well, it will be end of an era.
One thing you can safely say about children's TV is that it's always been weird.
As an infant, you simply take this warped reality for granted, of course, because a lack of life experience combined with regulation kiddywink stupidity means you don't realise that, say, the moon doesn't really have bin lids all over it and isn't inhabited by pink and purple blobs.
It's only later when you reach your early 20s and think you're all sophisticated that you suddenly decide, hey, the people who made these shows must have been out of it, yeah? I mean, it's so f***ing trippy, they must have been taking something. All of which is A, an insult to the imagination of the creators, and B, patent bullshit, because if the creators had been taking acid, these shows wouldn't have been made at all.
I mean, have you seen the painstaking precision required to create stop-motion animation?
Our film was going to last 16 seconds, which meant taking 400 shots.
Compare that to the hand-eye coordination of the average Kana, why don't you? Get someone on acid to make a stop-motion animation, you'll be lucky if they don't try to climb inside the face of the nearest plasticine model and drive it through a lilac Stargate, the wasters.
Anyway, there is one link between kids' TV and drugs, and that's the TV itself, which parents can use like a drug, either a sedative to keep the kids quiet, or a stimulant to make them run around and wear themselves out. And just as different drugs have different effects, so do different shows. Take In the Night Garden, the recent offering from the team that brought you Teletubbies. Set in the dreamy hinterland between the waking world and sleepy by time, it's specifically designed to relax the little idiots, or at least bamboozle them into silence. The action takes place in the night garden of the title, a dingly dell full of cutesy creatures who giggle hither and thither with the blithe insouciance of a being that's never experienced the withering disappointments of real life. In fact, their only real problem seems to be an outbreak of incurable flatulence, which has spread through the entire wood like, well, like a big billowing guff cloud.
One, two, three, four.
Yeah, I'd open the window, get some fresh air in there before your lungs turn brown. They even power their public transport system with methane. In fact, there's so much hot air blasting through their butty bots, it must leave their ring pieces burning like a hot coin, or a puncture wound, or a brass trumpet mouthpiece that's been left in front of a coal fire for the past 200 hours. What I'm saying is, their bumholes must hurt. Anyway, parched sphincters aside, the show is a bit like a greatest hits remix of every children's TV show ever made. There's echoes of Bagpuss here, shades of Trumpton there, sprinklings of Flump, Magic Roundabout, Rosie and Jim, Teletubbies. Basically, if there was an afterlife for kids' TV characters, it'd look like this. But sadly there isn't, because as everyone knows, all kids' TV characters are actually fated to roast for eternity in the lowest pits of hell. Sorry kids, but it's the truth. Just like the Teletubbies, In the Night Garden isn't just a visual feast. No, it's also full of lots of fun and endless repetition. And kids love that kind of 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 repetition. Oh, thank God for that. Anyway, if In the Night Garden is a sedative, other shows are a definite stimulant.
Watching Nickelodeon's Yo Gabba Gabba, for instance, is a bit like having sugared amphetamines injected directly into your eyes.
The show takes place in, well, actually, I haven't got the faintest clue where it takes place, but it looks like it's happening within the imagination of a man who's just been bashed around the head with an Xbox 360.
The Yo Gabba Kingdom is overseen by a mad DJ who's stolen one of Jamiroquai's hats, together with his made-up toy friends. Specifically, a robot, a sort of cat thing, a cycloptic penis with a nasty case of genital warts, a butt plug, and Liam Gallagher. Well, at least I think it's Liam Gallagher.
Actually, it can't be, because his lyrics are far more emotive than anything Oasis have ever done.
It's a fish! I like 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 fish!
The show is infused throughout with joyous, simple sing-along songs, most of which carry a complex moral message, such as this one, about the benefits of equal distribution of goods amongst like-minded acquaintances.
Sharing with my friends is good. Sharing with my friends is fun. Hello, Robbie. What are you playing?
I'm just playing bounce.
Oh, I love playing bounce.
Well, that's how you got the warts.
I love to share. I love to share. It's more fun to share.
Yeah, Liam, I'd wash that ball afterwards if you're sharing it with him.
Yo Gabba Gabba has had awards thrown at it like covering fire in a beachhead assault, and it's easy to see why.
Sesame Street was always cool, but this is like Sesame Street for the way cool.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Still, sheer energy doesn't always equal greatness. Sometimes it's just annoying.
Welcome to the Icelandic dayglow atrocity that is LazyTown, a grating horror show chronicling the irritating adventures of Stephanie, a preppy pink-haired little twerp who lives in a nightmare world of Dolmio puppets.
One of whom, her uncle, is a blood relative, which raises all sorts of interesting questions about the reproductive system that the programme stubbornly fails to answer.
Each week, the story revolves around an annoying aerobics mad hero figure called Sporticus, a sort of magic PE teacher who clearly loves kids and who lives in the sky like he's f***ing God, and who can't cross a room without showing off a few hundred acrobatic moves along the way.
It's crashingly unsubtle health and fitness propaganda, basically.
The unconvincing villain is hell-bent on feeding the kids junk food and keeping them docile, while Sporticus, when he's not backflipping around the place like a bellend, is calling apples sports candy.
Sports candy just for the energy. Are you ready, guys?
Wow!
Ugh, or relentlessly extolling the virtues of doing mindless physical exercise.
Push-ups.
Yeah!
Go! Ready?
Oh, and the songs. Horrible songs. About exercise.
Get up on your feet. Go for it. Jump to the beat and go for it.
Mind you, if child obesity is such a problem, maybe we could solve it overnight by forcing all the kids in the world to lug a great load of LazyTown DVDs up a mountain and tip them into a big burning pit.